First, I'd like to welcome you to the internet. Although, I don't really feel you're welcome here, nor do I think you really understand this place. I realize you're talking to people on YouTube is just a pathetic ploy to get in closer with under 30s. Let me illuminate a simple fact for you, Mr. Harper. We already don't like you. Recently, figures were published showing that if under 30s actually voted, even with our broken electoral system, we could elect the Green Party. And I can't even begin to tell you the number of parodies, cut-ups, mash-ups, whatever you want to call it, that are going to be done after you finally make your response. Your normal one-way style of communicating serves you best. This is an engagement, and this is something you are not prepared for. So, first thing I have a problem with. Back when you tried to ram through your mandatory minimum drug laws, people on both the right and the left decried your new US-style drug laws. Former prosecutors, judges, all sorts of people involved with law decried your new plan as too far, too extreme, and many of them called it US-style drug war, which is exactly what it was. So what do? You repackage it with something that almost anyone can agree with. Tougher sentences for violent criminals and sexual offenders. You know, I don't really think anyone is just a liberal or a conservative, and I would happily have the laws changed around sex offenses. I would have no problem with tightening them up. But what do? You package things like marijuana growing with rape and physical assaults. That is scummy, and you knew the liberals were weak, and you knew that they would have to go along with it. Although they don't have to go along with it, I don't really have a lot of faith in that party anyway, though. And yes, they could have articulated a case, but you clearly knew what you were doing there. I wonder how you feel about the public pressure that got the Senate to drop the growing provision. You do know that was dropped, right? So now if you grow up to 200 plants, it's pretty much Canada as usual. Did I think we needed a 200 limit? No, I would have felt quite free with even a 50 plant limit. But marijuana shouldn't be illegal anyway. So, what do you think of our success? You know, we trimmed your bill a bit. What do you think of that? Made me really happy, and I know my effort was worth it. Marijuana is one of the safest things on earth and is easily safer long-term than many of the fast food dishes people choose to eat. And yet you, a conservative, act as though adults shouldn't be allowed to consume marijuana, recreationally or medically. I have a question for you. What kind of a conservative are you? A neoconservative? Because you're certainly not a classic conservative. But then again, if it's a public project, it always seems too big for you and too hard to manage. But if it's wasted money on incarceration, well, you seem to feel the motto should be spend, spend, spend. So more prohibition, more jails. I thought you understood the West. I guess that always meant you understood Alberta. I really doubt you ever really understood BC from my perspective, but I really wonder from your perspective. Did you really think you understood the West? Because you at least don't understand British Columbia. So now to shutting down Parliament. When the Afghan detainee scandal was widening, you decided it was time to take your ball and go home. This was pathetic. It was pathetic, and although expected, and I don't think you're going to live that down anytime soon. It's really sad when the efforts to bring transparency and uncover the truth are what get you to pout like a child. In fact, it's much worse. You're a quasi-dictator, and you know, I know some of your supporters like your tough attitude. Well, to many other Canadians, it appears as nothing but arrogant and snotty. I think I know what you want, though, Mr. Harper. It was exemplified by a comment a lady made to me while I was at work. I said to her, "Did you know we used to control 80% of Afghanistan? And now we only control 50%, or I believe it was even 30% maybe. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But the Taliban have taken most back and we're losing more every day." And she said, "Well, we're just peacekeepers." We're just peacekeepers. Well, no, we're not. We're in a combat role and we're spending quite a lot of money there. So It would be nice if my fellow Canadians at least knew what was going on, but I think that's what you're banking on, Harper. I think you're banking on the fact that Canadians like her will vote for you because you're a good Christian man. We're not just peacekeepers, and we don't have the money to build a nation from the ground up. We don't have the money for more jails. We don't have the money for a US-style drug law. Or a US-style drug war, sorry. There's so many things I'd like to say to you, and honestly this was unscripted and maybe it should have been. But I'll just leave you with this for now, because you've opened a can of worms, and I really doubt that this will be the last complaint you hear, and if you think there aren't going to be countless spoofs, mockery videos, mashups of your actual responses, then you're just kidding yourself. You don't understand the internet. But I'll just leave you with this. Never have I felt more awkward as a Canadian. Never have I felt more estranged from my government than with you at the helm. Your arrogance, your tough guy attitude, your pathetic machismo prohibitionist stance is disgusting. It belittles our intelligence, and if you think that people under 30 are just going to be swooned by you with a couple of carefully chosen answers to a couple of carefully chosen questions, well, you're sadly mistaken. We already don't like you, and I hope we're going to make it known, and I hope that you are honestly going to do some soul searching, because, you know, as I said, no one is just a liberal or a conservative. But you, sir, you were something extreme that I find incredibly distasteful. You were not just a person that says, hey, let's cut spending on this and that, and let's be efficient. You were a person that wants to drag us backwards in time. And for that, I say, go fuck yourself.